My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with this, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. Today is a beginner's lesson, which means the assumption is you know nothing. Now, it would help if you checked out the Absolute Beginner's Lesson Pack that walks you through some of the terminology and shows you the names of the notes and things like that. But even if you don't know the names of the notes, you've never read music before, you don't know anything about the beats or anything about the piano, that's fine. You're in the right place. You'll do great. Ask a lot of questions. It's a beginner's lesson, so all questions are fair game. No questions are too dumb. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at learnpianolive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson when you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And finally, it's most people's favorite. This is application, where we take the past concepts from other live lessons and we see how they apply to an actual, real song that already exists. And since there's like 1,000 different ways to play any song, you're just going to work on the version that is appropriate for your level. So that might just mean playing one note at a time for right now. Or maybe you're working on chords or covering the full song. Or maybe you're just seeing how the song breaks down so you can better write and transcribe your own songs in the future. But whatever your level is, the goal is not this song. So even if you don't play the whole entire song, you'll get better by even attempting a little bit of it, and attempt it we shall. Welcome back. This is another lesson, fortunately, where your requests and my personal preferences have lined up nicely. So this is the song I Try, originally by Macy Gray, and we've got a play-along track here that is quite long. There's a key change in the middle. Maybe none of those words are making sense, but let's go ahead and show you what this is going to sound like eventually. Here's your play-along track, and here's what you would play along with it. right. Anyway, so there's some fun stuff to be doing in there, and you can do some of it. Let's get into our PDF and see what in the world is going on here. First of all, throwing keyboards and junk around. So we've got, first thing is we've got the D chord that we need to play. So all of these things right here, these big fat bold letters, are the chords that you're supposed to play that line up with those words. So you can see this D chord comes in here right before games, changes, and fears. Then an A chord. Hang on, I know you don't know what a D chord is yet. That's fine. That's fine. We'll get there. Then an A chord comes in long before when will they, and right on go, that is where that E minor comes in. So let's talk about what these chords mean. That's a group of notes that I have listed out for you after all of those chords, all the song is listed. Then all the chords are listed, and this right here is a D chord. You can tell because of, hey, there we go. So now those are the 3 notes that you're supposed to play in your right hand, all at the same time, or individually if you want, whatever you think sounds best. But you should try them first, playing them all 3 together. That would be a D and an F sharp and an A, as are listed right here, right here, right here. Or if you know how to read sheet music, which most people in the beginner's lesson should not know how to read sheet music yet, then that is over there in case you're one of those people who wants it. So then that's a D and an F sharp and an A. So to get a D, we're just gonna find any group of 2 black notes, like those right there. The note in the middle is going to be a D. And actually, probably the easiest way to go out these chords is just start on whatever the name of the chord is. For a D chord, you start on a D. For an A chord, you'd start on an A. Once you can find those letters, you start on a D and then just go every other note. Like that. That's always going to be almost the chord. In this case, that middle note does need to go up to that black note, which is indicated right here. The D, F sharp is up, and then A. So it's almost every other white note in every case. So if you just play every other white note, you'll be close on almost all of them. So that one's going to be that one right there, D, F sharp, and A, and that's your D chord. If you just play that everywhere there's a D chord listed, then that's almost a quarter of the song. There's lots of D chords in here. So then the A chord is going to be here. There are way more chords in this song than there are in most of the songs that we cover. So if this is your first song and it feels like it's taking you forever to get through these chords, that would be normal. And by the time you get done with this song, that means you're going to know a whole ton of chords, and the next song is going to be super simple because you already practiced them for this one. So if it's your first song, then just know this is not normal. Also, if this is your first time with us, welcome. Glad you could join us. So then we've got back up to here. In general, nope, not in general. Very specifically, the distance between each of these bars, which are sometimes called bar lines, and this is the confusing part. These are the lines that make up the bars. The bar is actually the distance between the 2 bar lines. So all of this stuff in here, games, changes, and fears, all this, that is 1 bar, or sometimes called 1 measure. Okay, lots of terminology there. All you got to know is that if you don't want to pay attention to the words, or if you don't know the words already, then you can just count to 4, and then that will be the equivalent to 1 bar. So if you just play that D chord and count to 4 kind of slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is how long that D chord is supposed to last. Then that A chord right there, the distance between those 2 bar lines, bam and bam, that's also 4 beats, 4 pulses that hopefully you can kind of feel in the track, and the track actually lays them out for you at the beginning, like this. 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So these right here are the pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you don't have to actually know the song in order to be able to play it. If you can play those chords and you can count to 4, and you can kind of keep the beat, you can like feel those pulses as they're happening, then you can play along with it without ever having heard the song before ever in your life. You just got to be able to count to 4 and play the chords. The playing of the chords is definitely the hard part of that. So we've got the D chord, and then the A chord, and then the E minor chord. And the good news is that makes up the entirety of the verse. D, A, E minor. It's just 3 chords. So even though there's a ton of them in the song, the verse just has D, and then you're going to have to play the A and then the E minor. If you can do that and count to 4, you're set. Let me try some of that again, and I'm going to play the chords like I did at the beginning, and I'm going to count to 4 so you can see where all of those go. So hopefully by the end of the day, maybe after some practice after the lesson, you'll be able to play through the chords for the verse. So here's the D chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. A chord. 2, 3, 4. E minor. 2, 3, 4. And then it stays on E minor. 2, 3, 4. Second line. D. 2, 3, 4. And A. 2, 3, 4. And E minor. 2, 3, 4. And it stays on E minor. 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and go into the pre-chorus here. G. 3, 4. F sharp minor. 2, 3, 4. E minor. 2, 3, 4. A. 2, 3, 4. Chorus. And then it goes to an A just like the verse did. And then it goes to E minor. You're set. All you gotta do is add in a G right there, and it's the same as the verse. And then we're back to the D. We're on the second line of the chorus. And then the A. And then the E minor. And then the G. And then the G over A right there. And let's talk about that one real quick. So generally, whatever you're playing in your right hand, your left hand should play the name of the chord. So if it's a D chord, your left hand should just play a D by itself. Not the whole chord. You don't have to play the whole chord. Just the single note that is the name of the chord. And you can play that anywhere you want, which is why when you see me playing this thing, I'm playing here, and maybe I'm playing a D down here, or maybe a D down here, and then we go to a G. I might be playing that right there, or a G up there, or some weird combination of those notes. Any of that stuff is all works as the G chord, and you can see I'm just playing. So you can spread it out however you want, but for the sake of our lesson here, we're gonna go zoom back in so you can see all the letters and stuff. So generally, we got a G chord. We should be playing a G here. But in the case of G over A, this is called a slash chord because there's a slash in it. The first part is the part that you're playing with your right hand, and the second part is what the bass player or your left hand, because those are the same thing, left hand and bass player, are going to play the A right there. So that right there sounds terrible until you get into the context of the song, and then it sounds really cool. It just sounds wrong right now. So G over A, instead of just a G chord, would be a G over G. But we wouldn't say G over G because it's implied. G over A. Cool. That's the only thing that is super duper weird about the way the chords are set up, with the exception of that one. That's the same thing. It's going to be an A flat chord over a B flat. So you'll learn more about those as you go through all the chords. That's going to take you a while to get through, learn all of those chords and just be able to play them on demand. And then it changes keys. So it uses the same chord set over and over and over. So D's and E minors and G's and A's and stuff like that over and over. It's got an F sharp minor in there too. So it's going to use the same chords. And then later on, after the bridge right here, after this guy right there, it says pre-chorus. Oh, that's right. After the bridge, the pre-chorus after the bridge. Then it changes keys, or it changes chord sets. So now it's not going to use a D anymore. D is totally gone. G, see you later. You're not going to see another G in there. E minor, not going to happen. So it's all an entirely new chord set. So it's still predictable. It's still E flat, B flat, F minor, A flat. And that's going to show up over and over. But now it's a new chord set instead of the old one that we had in the key of D, if that makes any sense. If that last part didn't make any sense, that's all right. Just know that it's going to be a new set of chords that they're going to repeat. You got to throw out all the ones that you were just finally getting used to. Come on, Macy. That's why this is listed right here. You got two different keys. One is D major, which just means that the notes that you'd use for the key of D major are going to be D, and then the one right next to it, and then not the one right next to it, but instead you'd go up a little bit, and that is right there. So 1, 2, 3, those 3 notes, and then a 4th note, 5th note, 6th note, and then 7th note is also going to be a black note, and then we're back up to 1. And at that point, you can repeat the pattern: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up. So that looks something like, here we go, this. So when I'm playing in the key of D, this is what my brain is overlaying on the keys. So I'm seeing my number ones, All the D's are kind of going to be most important. There we go. And then from there, I just have this little pattern that really, honestly, the numbers, I'm not even thinking about the numbers. I'm thinking that's an important note. I've got this pattern that goes like that. It goes like that. And that. That is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm not thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm thinking that thing, and then the end of my valley. I'm going to go up on that little tiny hill, but go right back to a big, huge valley of 3 black notes, or 3 white notes right there. And then I've got another little hill of a black note, and then I'm back up to the most important one. So it's more of like a geography in my head than actual notes. I'm not thinking F sharps and A's and E's and B's. I'm also not thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just this geography that happens on the keys as I'm looking at it. So when I'm looking at it, I'm still just seeing, I guess I don't even have one. I'm still seeing something like this. Here we go. But I can see those are the important notes, and in between the important notes, I've got this geography here. As long as you play those notes, you're not going to mess up. You're not going to hit any notes that sound horrible. At the moment, they may not be the best choice, but just sticking with those guys right there. Let me zoom in so you can see. Just using those notes right there, I could just, again, I'm assuming you've never heard the song before. You just goof around in the key of D with the knowledge that this is in the key of D major. In the key of D. I'm not playing the melody, I'm not playing the chords, anything. Just the play along track is going on. I know that I'm in the key of D. This works for every single song that's in the key of D. There's only 12 possible keys, so there's for every single song that you could possibly think of, there's a 1 in 12 chance that what I just played would sound super duper decent in that song. So, get really familiar with the key of D. Almost always, a song is in a key. Of course, this song breaks all of the rules. So right here, we're going to have this other key that's going to show up later on. Like I said, a new chord set, a different note set. So now that geography is no good to us at all. Instead, we're in the key of E flat, which looks something like this. So yes, you eventually, way down the road, you'll have to have all 12 of these keys kind of memorized. So when we say, hey, we're in the key of D, bam, you just like you can see in your head the notes that are going to be the right notes to play. Same thing for the key of E flat. Well, now we got a 1 in 6 chance, a 2 out of 12 chance that once you know the key of E flat and you're really familiar with it, and you know the key of D, that's 2 of the 12 keys that you'll ever play in, pretty much. There are other like variations, like sometimes you'll play a key, but when you get to the seventh note, then you like alter it a little bit or something like that. But in general, there's going to be 12 keys. And if you know these 2 keys, you're already 1/6 of the way through the rest of the keys you'll need to know from here until forever, pretty much. Okay, so then key of D and then the key of E flat. So once they change keys, then you've got to be able to do the same thing in the key of E flat. And those notes will sound equally good in the key of E flat as the other ones did in the key of D. However, if you switch it up and you play E flat, the key of E flat notes in the key of D, well, let me show you what that's going to sound like. If that sounded right, you're in the wrong place, because that was wrong. That was totally, horribly wrong, almost entirely wrong notes. But what I played on its own might have been cool, and the track on its own is cool, but the two together, not so much. Now, here's the cool part. Once you're really familiar with the key of D, you've done your homework on this thing. You're really familiar with the key of E flat. You've done your homework on this thing. Then we can go down to this thing, and then we can just play this same song in any key, because we just follow the numbers here, and the numbers are going to be the same in any key. So if I play this, That's I'm sorry. We'll play it in the key of E flat. So if I play a 1, 1, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2. That sounds like I try. That sounds like I try. Now, if I do the same exact thing in the key of E, or in the key of D, if I play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3. Entirely different notes, still sounds like the song. Good news. Every single key is going to be like this. If we go to some random key, like the key of F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1. We go to the key of, I'm just trying to pick random ones here. Key of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. It's the same exact song. That's true for every song that you've ever listened to or ever sung. The numbers, you can just take the numbers and put them in any key, and it totally works. So that's the goal for right now. Now, those of you who have been here for many lessons know that I usually give you the first couple little hints here and then ask you to try to figure out what maybe some of the numbers are for the rest of it. If you're already familiar with the song, then you could take that thing that I just gave you. We're going to be in the key of D to begin with. So we would start out with 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3. And then I believe that faith. You gotta like go and try to pick out. I believe that faith. I believe that faith. And pick out the notes one at a time. It's gonna go way slower than what I just did there. It's gonna take, at the beginning, 5, 10, 15 minutes for a note. And then on the next one, maybe a minute less than that, and then a minute less than that. And then not pretty soon, down the road, 6 months, a year, you'll just be able to like kind of noodle around and like figure out the melody pretty quickly. So it'll take some practice. And if you want to, if that sounds like too much work, just show up tomorrow and I will have the rest of those notes all written in for you so you can just cheat and do that. That's the melody. Some of you guys like to get the sheet music for this stuff. So here is the sheet music for the chorus. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. I'm not going to talk about how to read all of this stuff because that's what Clopple Academy is for. If you're interested in what all of these weird dots and lines and stuff mean, that's way more than we can cram into one broadcast here. But in Clopple Academy, the first level, by the way, if you're watching with us on YouTube or on Twitch, then the Clopple Academy level 1 is free to everybody, so you can get started on level 1, and then if you think that it's cool, you can sign up to keep on for like $20 a month for the other levels. So there's the sheet music for you. The chords are written in on top right there, and I think that should be everything that you need to find your way through the melody and the chords so that in the play-along track you can actually play this song along with the band that I've given you in the play-along track. And then tomorrow we talk about the theory of all this, why these things all work together the way that they do. And then on Wednesday, we're actually going to try to like just cover the song. And won't be talking about how it's all put together or talk about what the chords are. It's just going to be trying to come up with a version of the song that we really, really like on piano. And I'm trying to get some special guests in here too to sing the cover of it with me, which is going to be not sing it with me, to sing it with my playing. Don't worry, you're fine. You won't have to listen to me sing anymore. So that is that. Let's go ahead and I guess jump into our wrap up, and then we will start taking questions here pretty soon. So in the wrap up, we talked about how there's a ton of chords in this song, and it's really just not fair for you to try to play all of the chords that are listed here unless you have extreme patience, then just try a couple of the chords, get familiar with a D chord, maybe get familiar with an A chord, and then an E minor chord. If you just do those 3 chords, then you can do the verses and pretty much the choruses. The choruses do add in the G's at the end. So they play the same first 3 chords, and then they add in a G at the end. Same first 3 chords, and then G at the end. And then we got that G over A there, if you want to do that at the end of that. We talked about how the verses and the choruses are basically the same. Pre-choruses, bridges. We talked about a key change, which is a super weird topic for our beginner's lesson. We did talk about how the chord sets and note sets are the same for the first half of the song, and during the second half of the song, it changes from the key of D to the key of E flat. We talked about all the chords that are listed here. Honestly, like usually in most of these covers, in case this is your first lesson with us, we have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 chords in a song that we'll have to learn. For this one, we've got 5 just in the first column, and then we've got 9 on that page, and then another 4 here. So something like 13 chords that you're going to need for the whole entire song. That's more than twice as many as we have for almost any other song. So it's a ton of chords. It's a ton of chords. I will say, like we said before with the keys, there's 12 keys total that you're going to need to know, really, to be able to play almost all the songs. The chords, there's only 24 chords that you're going to need to know total for all the songs, pretty much. So that means that once you get done with this, you are more than halfway through all of the chords that you're ever going to need for any song ever, pretty much. So that would, again, it might take you a while to get through the song, but if you can do it, no, you can do it. Once you do it, then you're going to be very well set. Probably better than most of the pianists that you personally know. All right, so talked about the key of D, talked about the key of E flat, how it's really going to be to your advantage to not have to worry about letter names or even numbers, but just be able to see geographies, and then that way you can just play in the key of D, and you've got your important notes outlined in your mind, and then you've got these geographies that go throughout the keys and stuff. You do have to overlay that on your keys on your own, unless you got the welcome packet for signing up for Learn Piano Live, and then you've got those physical cards that you can put on, and it actually shows you for every single key. You can just put your key of D card up, and then it'll show you what all the right notes are. So you don't have to do it in your mind. It will do it for you, the overlays on the keys. And we talked about the melody, and then I briefly showed you the sheet music and said, I'm not going to teach you about the sheet music because it takes too much time, and there's other places, if you're interested in that, to pick up that stuff. But a lot of you guys like to read the notes and stuff. So, and we used to take the colors out, and then I heard complaints about, what about all the colored notes? That was fun. So, any of you, for all of those of you who are not young at heart, and you just want the regular black notes like they're supposed to be, too bad. This is more fun this way. So when the notes are colored, by the way, on these, they're always the same. So all the Ds in this song are all yellow, and all the Fs are red and stuff. So the colors are not just there for the confetti look, but they are also actually practical in reading the music. In case you're not very good at reading music yet, which you shouldn't be, because you're at the beginner lesson. What are you doing complaining about me making it too easy during the beginner lesson? All right, so our feature of the day is going to be the opposite of the G over A. It's actually going to be a 2 over 1, which we're going to be using in another song here very soon. So let me show you what that means. In the key of D, D we said was number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? So the 1 chord is the D chord. Well, the 2 chord would not be this, because this note is not in our geography. Hopefully you're somewhat familiar with this right here. That's the key of D. So the 2 chord would be that's the number 1. That's going to be the number 2, and every other note in the key is that one. Well, if we take this middle note up a half step, I know I've already lost some of you. Some of you are totally right with me, though. So we'll finish this quickly for the other people. That right there is a major 2 chord. It's a 2 chord because it's the chord that is built on the second note in the key. And then it's major because we took the middle note up. We increase the distance between these first 2 notes. That right there is a major 2 chord, and that over a 1 is kind of a thing. So if you've been messing around with chord progressions, writing your own songs and stuff, that's something you could definitely use. You have this, the D chord, and then this one. That's coming up very soon. Just try those back and forth. A 1 chord in any key. This is the key of D. And then a major 2 chord. Kind of has like this weird, ominous feel to it. So just back and forth, and then hopefully that can start to leak once you've played that in multiple keys. That can start to leak into some of your songwriting and some of your arranging and stuff like that. So anyway, that's our progression. Major 2 chord over a 1, probably not one you would come up with on your own, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It just has this kind of special quality to it that you might want to incorporate into your other music. And that means it is now time for our questions. So let me make sure they are all going to export correctly. Okay, here we go. How often do slash chords show up in regular songs? Not very. Maybe once in a song, if that, once every few songs. However, like I said, your left hand is basically the bass player. So if you are playing with a bass player, you're not going to be doing your stuff down here, playing the roots of the chords. You're just going to play the chords pretty much. Maybe play the root of the chord way up here. And if you do that, you're playing a G chord, and your bass player decides he or she wants to play an A there. Well, then it doesn't matter that you played it a G right here. The sound of the chord is a G over A, because the lowest note is an A. Even though you're playing a G chord, bass player's playing an A. So bass players can create slash chords wherever they want. So when you're actually playing in real life, they're probably more common than like what the sheet music would say for a particular song. Who are the guys who covered the song before the lesson? I don't know. There were some random guys on YouTube that played the song. Sorry, I'll figure that out for next week. Privately email me and I'll let you know when I find them, because that's not fair. I should definitely be promoting them if I'm going to be playing their music. What is the reasoning behind the chords in the bridge? We're supposed to be dealing with all that stuff tomorrow, so part of my answer is show up tomorrow and I'll tell you. The bridge is right here. The bridge is super weird. Part of the reasoning is that they're just random chords, which is a very unsatisfying answer, I'm aware. But part of it is just the random chords, and so it feels random, and it is. But part of it kind of also makes sense, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow in the theory lesson. But they do go. If you're wondering, they first of all sound weird, and second of all, they go outside of the key, and those are kind of the same thing. Once you go outside the key, it's going to sound weird. So, yeah. Yep, there is a little bit of reasoning behind it, but it would take too long, and we have an entire lesson dedicated to it anyway. So I'm just going to skip over that one and say, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. And then next week, we're going to be doing all technique stuff, how to play faster, exercises you can do for that stuff. Because I know a lot of you are interested in that, which is great. It's going to be some hard work, grinding away at some skills and exercises, but in the end, we'll make you a much faster player and more fluid player, or just show up tomorrow and get the theory of the lesson, or whatever. Do whatever you want. You're your own person. Have fun. Good luck.